One of the easiest ways to spruce up your bathroom is to replace the vanity. But if you don't do it right, you could end up with a plumbing disaster. That's why we've brought together a group of expert plumbers and contractors. They'll show you how a kitchen pot can save a big mess, an easy way to avoid working under the sink on your back, and how to avoid a leak without a flood. This is 10 things you must know about installing a bathroom vanity. Hi, I'm Amy Matthews, and welcome to 10 Things You Must Know. Before you pick out a vanity, make sure you're aware of what will actually work with your plumbing situation. Our experts tell you what to look for in our 10th thing you must know. Recognizing your rough situation will make for an easy install.
Several different types of vanities depending on the atmosphere of the bathroom, whether you want to go country, colonial, traditional, modern. They're going to be available in all different type of products. They can be in wood, stained, painted. They'll be available in pressboard. They'll be available in laminates such as Formica and multiple colors there. They're also available in steel and metal products.
You can buy vanity sinks that are already assembled, and that's generally what I prefer to buy because I learned many years ago that I just don't like sitting around for 2 hours trying to figure out part A, part B, grommet C, grommet D, and trying to get everything together. It's just, it doesn't work. It's a pain in the neck. But a lot of the home stores sell them that way, and people get suckered into that, and they buy them, and it becomes, you know, Pandora's box.
A pedestal vanity or sink is a little bit different than just a vanity. A pedestal sink is more of a plumbing fixture.
Well, if you'd like to upgrade from a vanity to a pedestal sink, there are some differences. Usually the rough-in requirement, when I say rough-in requirement, I mean the drainage and the water lines. Usually they're different for a pedestal than a vanity.
You can go from a pedestal sink to a vanity. If you're going to go from a vanity to a pedestal sink, you're going to probably have to redo some plumbing within the wall and reposition the plumbing.
If you find yourself drawn to a pedestal sink and you didn't have one before, you may have to call a plumber to adjust the rough plumbing or the place where your pipes come through the wall.
The roughing needs to be changed. A little more complicated on the installation.
The plumbing itself on a pedestal sink needs to be in a fairly tight and very finite location. If you opt to go that direction, you want to do that. You want to conceal the supply tubes and the waste pipe behind the column of the pedestal sink itself. So in that particular case, you're either going to be married to an existing location that you have, or you're going to need to do a little bit of plumbing ahead of time to be able to relocate that plumbing to a place where you want to center that particular pedestal sink. You have a little more latitude with a vanity.
Because the rough plumbing is hidden in the cabinet with a vanity, it's definitely a better choice for someone that's installing bathroom fixtures for the first time. Anytime you deal with plumbing, you run the risk of making a huge mess. Our experts tell you how to minimize your risk of disaster in our 9th thing. There's a simple recipe for a dry environment.
First thing you want to do is shut your water off. You reach under the sinks and you have water valves, and you can shut them off and make sure your valves are holding. If they're not holding, then you have to go to the source of where your water line comes into the home or the structure and shut it off at that point.
You'll want to have a wrench handy to disconnect the water and waste lines, but before you unscrew anything, make sure you're prepared for what's going to come out of the pipe.
Keep in mind that there is always a column of water that's going to be in the waste pipe itself. And as you detach the sink, there's typically a tailpiece that's going to come down. When you undo the tailpiece, there will be, again, some water that's going to be in that trap.
And the best receptacle to prevent a big mess? Well, it's probably inside your kitchen cabinet.
Well, before you disconnect the drainage line, you're going to want to get like a pasta pot. It usually works well because a garbage can's too big and a bucket won't fit, but a pasta pot usually fits under there well so that you can catch whatever residual water is in the drain line.
You definitely don't want that water all over your floor, so keep that pot handy and make sure your work area stays dry. There's going to be a watertight seal between your old vanity and the wall to prevent water from getting behind it. Our experts tell you how to deal with this in our 8th thing. Don't pull off the wall with the vanity.
If you can tell that there is caulk on the vanity, yes, we cut it with a sheetrock knife or a putty knife and chisel that off from a wall or tile, whatever the surface is. and then continue to, if there is a top, it's a vanity, we'll unscrew the top, disconnect the top from the vanity, and then unscrew the vanity from the wall.
Make sure you get through all of the caulk, or you could end up pulling off more than just the vanity.
If you try to tug on it, you can take the wall with it. So you try to disconnect it from the wall itself. You can take the drawers out first, if there are drawers. And once the top is disconnected from the wall, or the silicone is cut from the wall, at this point the sink is disconnected already. We take the top off from the vanity itself, and then we take the vanity off the wall.
It's likely that the vanity has been there for some time. The bathroom is a warm, humid environment, and there could be some residue living underneath your old vanity. Take advantage of the opportunity to clean up the area.
You pull that vanity out, and if you have some damaged floor tile that might need to be repaired, you want to do it at this time. You want to clean the surface of the floor. You know, over time you may have some things you need to scrub out or clean there and scrape up. Same thing with the back wall. Over time, if there was a small leak, you may want to either replace the drywall behind the vanity. If there was any type of damage or water seepage in that location, to prevent any mold or mildew from building up, and make sure it's all dry, clean, and ready to go.
And if you missed anything, just log on to DIYnetwork.com for a complete list of the 10 things you must know, as well as additional tips from our experts. Stick around, and our experts will show you how to avoid working on your back inside the cabinet. Another time-saving tip you can't miss when 10 Things returns. Bathroom, but if you don't plan properly, they can cause a major inconvenience in your installation. Find out why in our 7th thing you must know. When you push in your drawers, make sure your pipes don't push back.
Your typical vanity that you would buy in a plumbing supply or one of your home centers, they don't come with a lot of drawers and bells and whistles. It's just a square box with a sink on top. So there's a lot of room to maneuver and get your piping arrangement in properly. If you're going to go a little more high-end and get something a little more custom, it may come with drawers and stuff, and then you have to take into consideration the piping arrangement in the wall.
It's commonly overlooked, but a drawer pushes back into the vanity, meaning there can't be anything behind it or it won't close.
And also, if you're doing drawers, the plumbing needs to be offset. You can't have it, it won't fit behind the drawers. You like to have the plumbing come to the center of the sink if possible, but you can offset, your plumbing in the vanity itself.
If you do get a vanity and the drawers don't close, you can move the plumbing, but you should definitely hire a plumber to do that, which is going to cost extra money. It's best if you check your plumbing beforehand and make sure your vanity works in the existing conditions. When you install a bathroom vanity, you're going to spend most of the time working on your hands and knees in a tight space. But you can avoid having to work upside down and on your back with our 6th thing. Faucet first, then install.
Well, you need to have room to install the vanity, so I would remove the old vanity and all the old parts from the room, get it out of the way, because it's a bathroom, there isn't that much room. And you'd want to get your new vanity, your box in place, and you want to get your top with your, if you're replacing the faucet, you need to get your new faucet on there.
Giving yourself enough room to work will make getting under the sink easier, but you can easily minimize the amount of work you have to do under the vanity.
You need to get your new drainage spud on. You need to properly install your faucet and your drainage spud to your sink before you install it to your vanity base. That would save you a lot of trouble underneath the sink once it's connected to the wall. So if you were to properly install everything first, the job goes quite easy.
It's a simple step, and it'll save you from getting a sore neck. Just like any other countertop surface in your home, you're going to want your vanity to be level. But getting everything on the straight and narrow can get a little tricky, especially if you're installing a double vanity. Make sure it's all even with the 5th thing. The toilet isn't the only thing in the bathroom that needs to flush.
And the same way you would install a kitchen cabinet, you would install a vanity, which is just like a base of the kitchen cabinet.
Now you want to make sure the vanity's level. If it's level and plumb, you're ready to fasten it to the wall. If it's not, you're going to want to shim it. You want to have little wood shims, and you want to get this vanity plumb, level, and perfect before you fasten it to the wall.
You're going to want to put a torpedo level, which is a small 6-inch level, on top of your vanity top, both sideways and frontward, so that you can level it. And you may need to stick some shims underneath, the front or wherever it's off to level that properly. And then at that point, you're going to want to bolt your vanity to the wall and then silicone it as well.
With the vanity, you're going to have a bit of a gap at the floor or at the top of line along the back wall. It's not the end of the world. Also, if you're applying tile to the walls, the tile then will absorb any type of gap.
If you're installing side-by-side vanities, you have to get both of them level and plumb, as well as flush to one another. But this seemingly daunting task can be made simple with one additional step.
If you have a countersink drill, countersink a hole into it, and then you'll use a screw, go from one vanity style into the other vanity style to draw it nice and tight together.
With the two vanities drawn together, you can level them as one piece.
Another way of doing it is to clamp them together first. If you have C-clamps, or at the local hardware store, you can purchase these called compression clamps, where you squeeze them and they kind of compress them together, and they can be held in place for you while you're screwing. It makes it much easier if you're working alone.
When you've got everything plumb and level, you can screw the vanity to the wall and seal it with silicone caulk.
It's important for your vanity to be plumb to the wall for aesthetic purposes, pretty much. If you want it to look nice, you pretty much want it to be plumb and square with the wall. If you don't care about that, it doesn't matter too much.
If you missed anything, be sure to log on to DIYnetwork.com for a complete list of the 10 things you must know, as well as other great tips from our experts. Stick around, and our experts will show you how the right size holes in the back of your vanity can keep it from making noise. It's another tip you won't find anywhere else when 10 Things returns. Bathroom, and behind the wall is more than just studs. There are a number of plumbing and electrical lines probably running right where you're putting your vanity. Our experts will tell you what's at stake in our fourth thing you must know. Hit the studs.